So we're just about ready here. We start in a little bit. If anybody happens to be listening already, we're just about ready to go. Almost ready. You can tell your mom to go ahead and sign in.
Now, where is it? Where is it? Does it show up there how many people? Or you can always see how
Yeah,
many
we got
people?
4 people on board already.
Hello, 4 people.
I'll be a monkey's uncle. Didn't expect a live stream having a thing to wear. Okay, I'm going to mute the mic here for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, no intro music tonight, guys. We didn't have a chance to get that set up. We're doing everything on the quick here.
Hey, we're still waiting. I guess you all are still waiting too. So hang in there. We will be with you all shortly.
Voice test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll be going in a few minutes, guys. I think we got everything more or less operational here. We have some stuff set up that we're going to talk about, and then it'll become the usual free for all. We're planning to go for 2 hours, and at 8 o'clock we'll wrap it up because
Max has to go Betty by early.
Ken has about it's almost an hour drive back.
Yeah, it's an hour drive.
And you got to drive back, so you got 2 hours. So
yep.
This is how dedicated we are to you guys.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
But let's see. It's an LB30. Good eye. You'll notice there's no supercharger collector rings on the engines, and the cells are actually round. They're not the oblong shape of the B24.
I'm going to bring up the website on the other monitor so we can see what you got on your phone.
Oh, okay. Just make sure the volume's turned down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only B24 flying has the turret nose. I know that it's a J model, I think. I know that Kermit's got one, but I don't know if it's in flying condition. The most produced airplane in the United States is the B-24, and there's only a handful of them left. Only 1 or 2 that fly. Okay, that's the kind of stuff you got to turn off. There, the live one.
Okay, so there we are.
All right, you know what? I think we can go ahead and get rolling.
We do it early?
Well, we can. I mean, this is more of a gab session than anything else, but so something. Remember, I told you last night it was an LB30. I actually saw that one in Charlotte along with Fifi, the B29, when it was still flying. And who is that?
Who do you think that is?
That's you?
Yes.
You got hair like a girl.
Well, I had hair like girls back then.
Well, hold on. Wait, where's my phone? I raised you one girly looking, long haired hippie freak look, and I raise you one. Hold on. I raise you. Where is it? I got it in here somewhere. That's not it.
Should we turn the video on?
One beautiful bouffant.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
oh,
baby.
There we go. Okay, we'll show pictures of it. Okay, yeah. Okay.
We're never showing those.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not.
Oh, yes, we are.
We are.
Yes.
Okay,
we're gonna turn the camera on because we got some crazy stuff to show you guys.
Well, you got take the beat. Turn off the LB30.
Turn that off.
Yeah, with the CBSI look.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now turn off. Okay, scroll up something. We've got pictures on top of it. Okay, okay. Scroll all the way up. That thing at top where his Livestream begins. Turn that off. Now there's something else on top. There's another picture that's active on top of it. So whoa, you're going too fast. Okay.
There's nothing else in between.
Okay, start turning the photographs off. Oh, garage. Turn off garage. There you go. There we are.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Okay, we have some embarrassing pictures
From the 70s.
Personally, I don't think it's embarrassing. But this is a picture.
You guys are gonna love this.
This is a picture of my brother and I was 19 or 20, I guess.
Curly haircut.
I don't know. Is that kind of fuzzy?
Back up a little bit. Those things can't focus in close. Oh, that's okay, Kim. They can see the silhouette. That's good enough. You look like Lucy from Peanuts.
Anyway, I
and
don't know if
this
y'all can see that.
Is my beautiful bouffant. Oh, what you got? We got to turn the brightness down.
Oh, okay.
There we go. My beautiful bouffant. Oh, hey, stop it. There we go.
Now, is that scary or what?
And that's all real hair. Pompadours will never die.
Turn it this way. The other way. The other way. The light from the windows reflecting off. Like this.
Fine.
See, there. Now they can see you all in
That's natural color, too.
beautiful majesty, whatever.
Kodachrome forever, baby. That was shot on film.
Whatever you want to call that.
Gorgeous.
Oh, that's not what I was talking. Okay, yeah, that's gorgeous.
I'm still gorgeous. I am the High Commander. Okay. Now turn that off since you got it up there. Well, hello, Glue Troopers, and welcome to another scintillating episode of Max's Models. This is from Ken's Kavern. And we got a few things to talk about, and then it'll turn into our usual gab session. As I was saying earlier, we'll wrap up at 8 o'clock local time because he's got to drive me all the way back to West Palm, which is almost an hour from here. So it's a little less than an hour, isn't it?
Just right at.
Right at. And I have an O-Dark 30 wake up, so I need my nappy time. Okay, so you're going to have to watch the that hairstyle always makes me think of Eraserhead.
That's why
you cannot unsee that.
That what my older brother and his buddies all look like. I was a long-haired hippie freak as well. Digging the hairstyles. On board for the Max's Models Roadshow. At least you both still have hair.
Well, as long as you got up on the computer, give me a like for God's sakes.
I can. You want me to do likes? Yeah. Here, take the mouse. Like yourself.
Like my.
Did they call you Carrot Top?
This is long before he was born. But yes, they did. More than once, and that ain't the only thing. Red on the head, like the nevermind.
Was that your Halloween costume? Ooh. That hairstyle always makes you think of Eraserhead.
Yeah.
My eyes, my eyes.
Yes, we can read, Ken. Sarah
You got
Jenkins
some competition tonight. Godzilla King of the Monsters is on here.
Oh, well, I can't compete with that.
Ken, tell us in sign language what Max is saying. Okay.
Okay. You don't know sign? This is Ken's sign. Here's your sign.
Oh, Okay, clocks go back an hour tonight here in England, so I can stay up.
They don't do that here, do they?
Not for another week. 2 weeks. Yeah, a week.
Time for seasonal affective disorder.
I had hair that was the envy of all my female relatives.
Oh, so did I. The thing I used to hear all the time was, "You have such beautiful hair. It should be on a woman." And I'm like, I don't even know how to process that. But I actually had one woman tell me one time that you have such beautiful hair. It's too bad it's wasted on a guy. I'm like, I don't think she meant that to sound insulting. I just think she meant that men don't need hair like that. It would have, but I was like, I kind of left there going, I'm not sure what I just heard.
Guys don't usually get split ends, I think, is what I think it was coming down to, because we don't tease it. We don't put
soap, water, comb, done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I like that.
Conditioner? What is this? So anyway, all right. So it's 5:09. Time to kick off the actual shoot.
Well, we haven't scared anybody off yet, and we're up to 77 people.
Woohoo! All right. First thing, Ken's been dying to show you guys. What was that?
I don't know. Something fell. Don't worry about it.
What just happened to the screen? Oh, geez, the whole screen went away.
It wasn't because of me.
Where's the mouse? Oh, so gosh, this mouse that I'm using, there's a screen over here, and there's one right here with the camera, and it goes between the two. And I'm like, where's the mouse? And it's over there. So, anywho, Ken's been dying to talk about the B-25. So we'll start with that.
Yes. The B-25 we talked about last week?
Maybe. The one. So I buy this B-25, which, by the way, side note, there was an RC hobby shop on Okeechobee that we went to today that we'd gone to before to buy batteries for that B-25. And unfortunately, they're gone. They folded. The sign was still there, but the shop's no more. And I guess another COVID victim. They were RC only, not kit models, so not, but they were just always hate to see the hobby shop going there. Anyway, we bought this FMS B-25 Mitchell RC that you guys have probably seen some pictures of, and I'm flying it, and Ken's like, okay, try to fly inverted, and I'm like, and it did not go well.
No, that was the remains of his misadventure. It was in several different pieces.
You guys may remember from the greatest movie ever made, The Battle of Britain, when Christopher Plummer's chewing out a young pilot about, I don't want to see more barrel rolls will be splattered all over this airfield like strawberry jam. Well, that is precisely what happened.
That's what it looked like pre-modified.
And although, to his credit, after I bought just about all new fuselage and wings and stuff,
we could
use the tail. Ken did put it back together, and it's still flying today in its new form. In fact, I'm going to be giving it to Ken soon because I've backed out of RCs. I kind of wasn't really enjoying it that much, and the RC club is so far from where I live, it was just becoming too much of a production. I'm going to hold on to my controller because we'll still use RCs for other stuff, and I still got my RC tanks. But I don't think I'm going to do, and my drone, but I don't think I'm going to do any more RC aircraft. If I do, it'll be something like a Husky or an Apprentice, something that's genteel and easy to fly, putters by real slow and doesn't get away from you. And some of these things, whoa, turn on. I mean, you're doing pylon turns. It's like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. Oh, there's $500 lapping the airfield. Yeah.
By the way, that picture right there that with me in it, that's going to come up in a second. With me holding the plane, you can see an edge of the pinball machine in there.
Okay.
Right there. See the corner.
Oops.
That was good.
I thought that was pause.
No, that's stop.
I did not know that. Okay. That one.
Anyway.
You can see the edge of Ken's pinball machine, which is in the other room. It's the F-14 game by, what company made that? Williams. For those of you who are all pinball fans. Anyway, Ken's been dying to show you guys the crash site. And somewhere in my anxiety closet, I still have the actual photos I took of the crash site. I mean, it was literally like you spread that thing across the airfield with a knife.
Yep, it was pretty splattered.
It couldn't have gone more vertical if it had tried.
Full power.
Yeah, boom! You cannot split S out of some things. Now, getting back to kit models, This, you guys may recall, Ken finally found the little Aurora Cherokee. Now, this one was the Dutch version, what it has the artwork. And in fact, let me just shrink that down a little bit here. We have the model right here.
With the original price sticker on the front.
15 Pfennigs.
No, it's I think it's P.
37p.
Might be pence.
VHF Supplies. It says 37p. It says made in Holland, but it could have been sold anywhere in Europe, so that could be 37 pence or Pfennigs. Assuming the Germans still used Pfennigs. I don't know. But anyway, but the artwork was actually pretty good. Now this is different. Well, I mean, it's got the same gold paint job that's in the photograph of the other one. But the tail flash is different and everything. But
oh, by the way, you should only fly inverted when you're insulting enemy pilots. And Joe says to blame it on flak.
Now Ken's is still in the plastic. So, and the decals actually, they're surprisingly good condition. There's the stand, and this yours came with lead weights. Mine didn't come with lead.
I put the lead
Oh,
weights
you
in.
put the lead weights in there. You're going to need them.
Yep.
That's a tail sitter.
That's what I heard.
The versatile Cherokee 180, and looks like the standard Aurora instructions, and they are in English.
Somebody at the train museum had one like this, but the American version. It was interesting to see the differences in the instructions between the two. There were slight variations.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like the catalog thing.
Oh, okay.
That
Well, they
wasn't
probably
there.
change those every few months. Speed dry glue.
And the paint.
The enamel with the sprayed on look. Oh, those are paints. It's Aurora's fireproof styrene plastic cement. So they have an advertisement on here for Aurora's own cement. And then down below, these paints. This is enamel with the sprayed on look by Speed Dry. Speed Dry enamels are Aurora's revolutionary new enamel paints developed after years of research, especially for plastic models and other products of wood, metal, glass, or china. And this is copyrighted 1968. So the kid had, yeah. And as I've told you guys this before, but now this is interesting. The instruction sheet still has the photo that's used on the original box art. And then, of course, you have the box art for the foreign ones. Now, both airplanes are gold, but you'll notice the tail on this is completely different than the tail flash on this. The one on the box matches the decal sheet. And, of course, the reason they're out of sync is, although the buildup on the back is done the way the artwork is done. And, of course, the reason they're different is because this has 3 side windows. The kit has 2 side windows. And that's because the thing got delayed in production for a couple of years. It was a project manager had to push all of these Aurora civilian aircraft through. And by the time they got them into production, the airplanes had changed. And when they called Piper and said, hey, we're making a model of your airplane, can you send us some photos? Because they didn't have time to get artwork done. Then they sent them the latest airplane, which had the 3rd window added. And what's kind of interesting is that these things, it takes like a year to get something to market, and these things languished. And then all of a sudden now we've got to have it this month, you know?
It's a hurry up and wait thing. One of the things I'd like to do with this kit is
Speak up.
I'm speaking up. Look, see, I'm doing good. Quiet.
Okay, fine.
Leave me alone. I'm doing well here. Okay. Don't get off. Just
Talk. Say your piece, and
yes.
then call Steve.
So, yes, gotta give Steve a call. So, what I want to do is instead of using the glass that comes with the kit, I want to vacuum form, or maybe just get some clear plastic and bend it over a shape. And I want to put some detail in the cockpit. I want to put the control yoke in there. Yeah, it'd be really, really tiny, but it would be really cool. It'll be better than his. So I'll probably make it into the magazine instead of just the website.
Well, I already did, so good luck with that. So
that's a project. So what?
right.
We're going to call Steve now?
Let's give Steve a call, see if he's out there.
Steve, be prepared.
Oh, waiting. We're going, well, that boy started early. Those idiots, what are they up to? It looks like a girl.
Be ready, Steve. We're coming after you. Okay. Keep talking.
Okay, that's an easy one. So anyway, these things have gotten kind of ridiculously priced, though. And I mean, I can understand $25 or even $45. Some people are wanting $120, especially for the
There
Aztec.
he is. Are you watching? Yeah, it's about a 7-second delay from what we talked to finally gets out to the real world.
Probably longer to look back to
So
us.
I'm gonna put you on speaker here so that all the world may
And now make sure the volume's up.
hear your voice.
All right, we got Steve's Model Mania on the line.
Hi, troopers.
Can you guys hear him okay?
Speak, Steve.
Hi, troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming through all right.
All right.
All right.
What?
Wingman, me man, start reading
I'm winging over here.
So anyway, but the Aurora, and Steve, you can speak to this. I was just telling that the Aurora kits, they languished for a while, the civilian kits, and then when they finally decided to actually put them out, all of a sudden they had to be ready next week. And it's just amazing how you can have these kit model companies that spend a year or two developing something, and then they got a week to get the box art done and get it to the printers. I mean, who's running these things?
Well, that's because it was Aurora.
Yeah.
If you look at AMT and Johan, when they did the annual car kits, they had to have those things ready when the cars were in the showrooms. And in a couple of instances, one or two of the kits beat the cars to the showrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to turn the stuff around pretty quickly. But, Revell, Aurora was kind of, they'd see it, okay, we got to do it, and sometimes they'd jump on it, and sometimes they wouldn't.
Well, I know that a lot of times, like you say, I know with the case of AMT that the first two Star Trek kits, the Enterprise was on the shelf before the show aired, and the Klingon ship was on the shelf about a month before the first one appeared on screen.
Yeah.
So,
and I know in the case of the 68 Corvette, the Hot Wheel car and the model kit were out before the car hit the showroom.
well, there's a whole. I understand that we're not only kit model cars, but also real cars. That there's like this world of industrial espionage of people trying to find out what the other guys are doing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's corporate, and then it's in the toy and hobby world. The perfect example of industrial espionage used to be Louis Marks Toy Company.
Oh, really?
Oh, if somebody showed something at a show, Louis Marks would have the knockoff the next day.
Ah, God.
He would have his guys. Somebody would see it. He'd get the guys in the model shop. Here it is. Here's what we're doing. They'd make it overnight. It would show up at the show the next day.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. They could turn on a dime.
It's one thing to do it quick, but that's just insane.
Paul Adams says some movie companies did the poster before making the movie.
Actually, I remember there was a movie with the late Gregory Hines called The Cotton Club, and the first thing the producer did was have the poster made. He didn't even have the script written, and he used the poster at pitch meetings to finance the movie, and he got money for it. And Gregory Hines was talking about they were actually rewriting the script on the set because they didn't actually have a script. So that doesn't surprise me. But, well, we've all come up with some cool box art of kits that haven't been made yet.
Yeah, that turned out pretty good.
I don't think... I mean, art sells. We all know that box art sells, so why not make the box art first and then use that
it's part of the marketing because you got to make the pitch to get the investors to pony up the money to make the product.
Yep.
So you turn around and you make this great poster. You make a package and say, here's what this is going to be. And sometimes you make a prototype, and then somebody gets a picture of it and the pictures get out and then people say, oh, well, this is coming out. And a lot of times they never make it.
Yeah. What was that toy that you were talking about you guys were trying to sell that never took off? The kids.
Come Along Gang?
The Come Along Gang, yeah.
Get along, gang.
Get Along Gang.
Yeah,
And that like basically bankrupted the company.
pretty much. Pretty much. It's another great idea because they jumped into it with, both feet before the thing even aired the little kids' TV show and any of the other collateral, books and things like that came out and made the stuff, and we sold it in, and the thing didn't take off, and it was just death time.
By the way, my mom is watching tonight. We made sure that she got all hooked up, and she's wondering what I'm staring at, looking totally disinterested. I'm over here looking at the comments that people are making.
Yeah, the comment thread's over on that computer.
It's on this side over here.
So now we'll have to clean up our act.
Grown up language, kids. The parents are here.
That's right. That's right.
So okay. The next thing.
Talk about movies.
Yeah.
American International Pictures.
AIP.
They were the king of that.
Oh yeah.
They would make the poster. They'd make the name of the movie, and they'd sell the movie without ever having and didn't film it yet. And then they'd film the movie, but the posters would be out there and all the preliminary PR, and then they'd film the movie because they could film the movie in 5 days.
Only some of the greatest cinema ever.
Hey, that stuff still holds up, believe it or not.
One glue trooper sent me a model of the creature from what was it? Oh God, what was it? The day the world ended or something? The big three-eyed horn thing. I didn't know anybody made a kit of that, and I remembered seeing that on television as a kid. And when you're like 9 years old, these movies are terrifying,
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? A 9-year-old with 45 cents to see a movie, it's what kept companies like AIP in business.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just like all the vampire stuff kept the horror films and the Hammer films going. And Hammer's still around, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to make a lot of money back then because the films didn't cost that much to make back then.
The thing that cracks me up, and I only saw it recently, was that clip from somebody. I watched the documentary on Hammer films, on Hammer Studios, and they were Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were playing, I think, Holmes and Watson or something, and they're on a train or something. There's been a murder, and and Peter Cushing saying that everyone's a suspect, no one's above suspicion. The conductor goes, "This includes you, not us, man. We're British."
We're British. Well, AIP. They did all those Vincent Price movies.
Oh yeah, Dr. Phibes.
And they did movies with Ray Milland. Well, they got these guys sort of on the tail end of their career.
Sure, that's when they're going to Italy to make cheap movies or whatever.
And they signed them up to an X amount of dollars per year contract. But they'd crank out 4 or 5 pictures with them during the course of the year.
Well, I think AIP might have made the movie, which was kind of meta, because I think it wasn't Ray Milland, but he was in 0 Hour, I think, which was better than it had any right to be.
Well, he was also the man with the X-ray eyes.
Uh-huh. And like you said, he's like a real actor. But not who's the guy from Quo Vadis? Victor Mature?
Yeah.
They made the movie where he's a washed-up actor in Italy, and they're making a fake film to cover up from some kind of crime they want to do, and they don't even have film on the camera, but he's acting all these scenes and improvising them and everything. And I was thinking, I remember seeing that movie, and I was thinking, that's almost like an AIP documentary.
Pretty much.
Horror Express.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Phibes. I remember.
Kelly Savalas.
Yeah, and I remember people terrified when Dr. Phibes came out. A lot of people thought that was Vincent Price's creepiest. I think they made a sequel to it.
I mean, Dr. Phibes was almost like a mystery and a horror movie wrapped into one.
And like you say, you get these guys that are at the end of their career. They're still happy to have work. What was that schlocky movie that was a Trog or one of them? That one of the big, big
Joan
actresses,
Crawford was in
Joan
that.
Crawford.
Yeah.
And I mean, they'll do anything to stay in front of the camera, which is kind of sad. Then again, maybe they needed the paycheck.
Savage B24 said Victor Mature.
Yes, Victor Mature. That's who it was. Yeah, and oh my God, and what's funny is a lot a lot of the model companies are rediscovering this. You're starting to see, like, between the guys over at Georgia Doll and Hobby, and, you know, Cult TV Man and Fantastic Plastic and a few others, you're starting to see some of this stuff get resurrected in kit form. The, you know, Cult TV Man is coming out. They're coming out with, I don't know if it's him or he's selling it, but what was it, Maria from Metropolis?
X Plus.
And as X Plus. And I'm like, I'm glad to see these things are being revived. First off, some of these things are ripe for a serious remake.
Yep.
And what?
Look at the screen.
Look at the screen.
Yes. They don't want to see your ear.
They'd much rather see my face, which was made for radio. No, I'm glad to see a lot of this is being redone. And I see these movies sometimes. I go, oh my God, I remember seeing that as a kid. Of course, when you're a kid, any movie you take seriously because you're a kid. And I remember how terrified I was by some of these old horror movies. You look at them now, you're going to snicker at them. But, you know, then again, it's all about the time, the innocence of it all.
Well, yeah, I remember going to a Chiller Theater convention, and David Hedison was there.
Ah, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
And Brett Halsey was there, and they had the machines from the movie The Fly there.
Uh-huh.
Because they were in The Fly and The Return of the Fly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking with Hedison, and I said, you know, when I saw the movie The Fly when I was a young boy, I said, in the part where you go through the machine again and your wife pulls the shroud off your head and you have the giant fly head, I said, I jumped up and ran out into the lobby. And he says to me, that scared you? I said, dude, I was 6.
More,
You know?
it's funny you should mention that, because more people I know of our age who saw The Fly when they were little kids. You're not the only one. I know other people say that it's still the movie that terrified them the most, and some of them can't even watch it today. With me, it was the original Godzilla movie, because, you know, I'm watching Raymond Burr looking up, you know, and there's Godzilla knocking the building down around him. I was like, dear God, you know, that's terrifying when you're 6.
Now the question you have to ask yourself, who is bigger, Raymond Burr or Godzilla?
Well, it depends. You know, with enough trick photography, they could make the G-Man better, but I'm pretty sure Raymond, all he had to do was put the headpiece on. What are you looking for?
I want to put a picture up here.
Image. Okay. So, anywho, Ken is messing with the control, so I can't put up any pictures right now. But I'm not sure what the scariest movie I ever saw was, but I do know that the glow-in-the-dark Aurora stuff, like, I never had any of it as a kid, but one of my best friends did. And every time I had to sleep over his house, I'd pull the covers over my head because all those things are up on a shelf staring down at me. And,
funny you should mention that. Atlantis is re-releasing The Wolfman, The Phantom of the Opera, and The Mummy in glow.
I saw that. Hit
Yep.
OK. Now right-click, fit to screen. No, you got to do it down there.
Oh,
right-click that. Now transform,
and
fit to screen.
Yes, Garfield, the H-Man was very good and way ahead of its time.
lower.
Which one? No,
The
you can
H-Man.
slide it either way and move it off to the left or
It's
something.
a Japanese horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah, they've got this El Cheapo Godzilla costume coming out now, $20. I'm like,
I saw that in Walmart, and I texted that to Max and said, "Hey, they have an XXXXL."
all I was thinking was, with a headpiece, I could puppet that bad boy. But,
You know what movie's really scary?
what?
Event Horizon.
I actually saw that, and that was kind of creepy because it's a mind bender, and I'm not normally into mind bender movies.
Seeing that in the movies, and it was like, whoa, it was pretty scary.
Somebody talking about Dana Andrews and Hot Rods of Hell. Stuart's bringing up. I actually just saw that on YouTube not that long ago.
That was one of the most laughable movies of all time.
Yeah.
The thing that scared me the most was Hill House.
My father saw King Kong at 33, says he didn't sleep for a week. The part of King Kong, the original movie, because I forgot how good it was, that was really scary is when Kong's loose on the island and you see the superimposed native woman in the window of her elevated hut, and he just reaches in and grabs her. And I was like, and he's eating people. And I'm kind of like, whoa, He just shoved the native in his mouth. He's eating a lot. What the hell is this? This was made in 1933? My God.
Different time.
Clearly before the MPAA ratings.
Clearly.
But, yeah, though, you know, the very artistic people out there that made some really good stuff. They invented the techniques as they went along. A lot of them were in camera. A lot of great model work. When they made the recent Thunderbirds movie, I think it was, what's his name? Was it Jamie from Mythbusters? Went over and met the guy who built all the models. He's showing how the hydraulics work, and the stuff is actually working models. And all the tricks they use, old school stuff, just done a little more, you know, with some more modern tools, smoother bearings and servos and stuff. But
yeah, when I was younger, yeah, remember the opening for the Outer Limits?
Do not adjust your dial.
We control the volume.
We are in control of everything you see.
We control the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody on here, who is it? I can't find the name. Somebody said it made him running, screaming out of the. Joe said that.
You know, what's a funny movie, a scary movie? The Haunting.
The Haunting?
Yeah, the one from like 1963. That was really scary.
I'm not sure if I saw that or not. There's one called The Terror that came out recently about Franklin and the ships that were looking for the Northwest Passage. It's called The Terror, but it's not a horror movie. It is basically a historical film about the Franklin expedition that got lost looking for the Northwest Passage. But somewhere in the movie they insert a scene it's so out of character for the movie. It's like a Bigfoot attacks the ship, you know. And I was still trying to figure that out because I was like, this is basically a historical docudrama except for this scene where Bigfoot attacks them. I'm kind of like, but it was actually a pretty terrifying creature, you know. And I was like, yeah, okay. Reminds me of Kirk running from the thing on when Spock abandoned him on when Spock abandoned him on that ice planet and he gets chased by that space polar bear. And I was thinking, wow, Star Trek's going a little Jaws here on us. Land shark. But
Claire said that there was a censored version of King Kong. Scenes they took out of the film were him sniffing Fei Wei's dress and him walking on some of the natives. Yeah, I could see where that might upset a few people.
That's the version I saw. I was like, perverted Kong, and he likes to step on people.
Max is holding my P-38 that I'm working on.
Now, this is the one that Bruce, Mystic Modeler Ships, gave me, and I gave it to Ken to build because it's all 3D printed. And we're going to be talking about that in just a second here.
Don't step on it.
Don't step on it. You will incur the wrath of Ken. All right, let's put some pictures up here. And we already had that one. Okay, and this is a slideshow of some of the components. And Ken, you want to talk about these?
Yeah, these are the ailerons after I glued them together. These are not going to be completely in order. He put all the horizontal ones together and all the vertical ones together. So this is after I got through gluing the two main sections together. This is the tail sections. Looks kind of weird the way it's chopped off right there, but that's the four center sections. The holes up there in the front are for the flap servos, and the thing in the middle is for running the wires. That's after I cut out using a soldering iron that was set up for wood burning, but it had an X-Acto knife attachment on it. So I bought that so I could just use the X-Acto knife to cut out the plastic around the fuselage. That's what it looks like with the cover on. You're not supposed to cut the sides out on where it says the X. I thought about that and I said no. Anyway, that's before I glued the aileron in, but I got all the wing sections put together. And that's the aileron servo that's up there in the corner. This is the other side of it. You see right there in front of the aileron, there's kind of like a indentation right there. That's where the control rod comes out.
You see it's at an angle. Rather weird angle.
Yeah, I know. Why didn't they make it 90 degrees? I don't understand. So I'm putting a ball joint on that. Otherwise, it just won't work very well. And that was before I glued them all together so you can see the different sections.
Now remember, these are all butt joints, right?
More or less.
So it's CA glue butt joints and 3D printed material. This is a trick to build.
There some of the pieces have little nubs that stick up that help with the alignment, but a lot of them don't. I know it's exciting watching this stuff, but
Well,
I thought somebody might be interested.
well, the build technique and all the work that went into it. I mean, 2-piece flaps and everything. A lot. I just didn't have the patience to take on a project like this. I knew this would be right up your alley because you have already worked on a 3D model, RC, and it's almost a subspecialty skill set.
It's a little different. Go ahead and show them the other set of pictures.
Okay.
Okay, this is before I did the cutout on the fuselage, the center fuselage.
I didn't realize that had to be removed.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's before they did just a loose fitting of the parts before they were.
Yeah.
But it lets you see how many sections there were just to put each boom together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few, and there's channels that run through all those things too. Unfortunately, one of them didn't line up real great, and there's some drag in there. This is the engine compartment of one of the nacelles. The you couldn't quite see it, but the servos for the rudder and the elevator were up there in the engine compartment as well. And that's what it looks like after I put the whole thing all together. Now, since then, I've made the motor mounts. I had to make them out of wood because the motor mounts that came with it were nowhere near the motor that I had. That was fun. I went up to Home Depot, and I found a piece of nice hardwood that was in a scrap pile.
This is it, right?
Yeah, that's one of them. And I went up to the.
This is one of the motor mounts that Ken carved out of wood. He made 2 of them. All the fillets and everything, the scallops.
For those are the improved motor cooling. And I also had to drill a hole in the center so that the motor shaft would work. Set it in there. And
Ken, does it have a spar?
Does it have a spar? Yes, it does. It's molded into the plastic itself.
Okay.
Anyone have a lead on plans to build a scale model of the Ukrainian drone attack boats that were just used?
Oh, by the way, speaking of the Iranian drones and stuff, I'm waiting for someone to come out with a model of those Iranian drones that the Russians are using. And I don't know how accurate this information is, but I was like, yeah, it's a pretty straightforward design. Why are the Russians using Iranian drones? And if you want to believe what some of the analysts are saying, is that with all the sanctions and everything, the Russians have actually lost the capacity to manufacture drones.
Well, they're not getting any new chips.
Yeah. Did not see that one coming.
Hand me the airframe down there. And then hand me one of those wings off to your right. This is the really cool thing about this specific model. I haven't seen any other 3D model like this before. But the wing actually slides in.
Whoa!
More or less.
And it locks. It has this design up here that has the built-in clip.
And you heard it click into place, and then to release it, there's a thing right here up on the top. You just pull up on that, and then you can pull it. It won't fall out. You got to pull it out. And the wing just slides right out.
Of course, when you got your ailerons and everything hooked up, that's going to be...
Well, that's the aileron servo right there. You just have to worry about the aileron
so just the wires all you have
connection.
to... Oh, cool. Okay.
And it's got retractable landing gear. All 3. They go in...
You can see the rudder wiggling when I move that cable. No, you can't. It's too high up.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they know how a rudder cable works.
Yeah, and flaps go here. Whoa. I haven't got the flap on yet. That goes...
I think they know where the flaps go.
Yeah, the flaps go right there. And then they fall out like that, which is really kind of cool. But I haven't got those in yet. I got all the other control surfaces but that one.
Whoa.
I was also... don't put it in the fan.
Well.
I was
Big
also
model.
been told that that's the J model, the earlier version.
Yeah, the early P-38s had the real... I don't want to hear a single fat joke. The early P-38s had the real streamlined cowlings, but they had to get rid of them. Steve, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. They had to get rid of them because they weren't getting sufficient cooling, which is why the later P-38s had the big jowl-looking massive intakes behind the spinner. But it wasn't nearly as aerodynamically efficient, but it cooled the engines. So, that was where the priority lay.
When will it fly?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Not sure.
No rush.
I have all the pieces. I just have to put it together. Hopefully 2 weeks.
You want to tell your story about the...
Yeah. When Max got in town, we decided to go do some shooting up at the West Palm Shooting Club.
Well, it's Game and Fish.
It's
Wildlife.
Yeah, it's owned by Wildlife Game and Fish, which is a really nice field. They have a 100, a 200, and a 300-yard range. They have a bunch of other things in there as well. Trap, skeet,
Pistol.
pistol. They had a couple of short ranges in there as well, but this was the only one we were interested in. And if you'll notice those wood beams across the top, that's to keep you from shooting over the berm.
Well, turns out that we wanted to go to the 200 and 300-yard range because Ken's rifle is a Ruger Precision, which is a long-range shooting rifle.
It'll go
But
out to
you can't...
It'll go to 1,200 yards.
Yeah, but you can't just... That's a bolt-action rifle, by the way, even though it looks like an AR. You can't just shoot on the 200 and 300-yard range. You have to qualify the rifle.
Not the
The shooter, the rifle. And what we had to do was shoot 5 shots in a 3-inch group in the black without any extra shots, no alibis, very Jack Reacher, to qualify the rifle, which we both did on the first try.
We did, yeah. And then we were just playing around, and we were putting bullets through the same holes.
Shooting ragged holes. And but that is a bolt-action rifle. But it was, the thing almost shoots itself. I mean, it's just, I actually kind of surprised at 100 yards how easy it was to keep such a tight group.
It's more accurate than we can shoot.
But that has nothing to do with models. We just wanted to brag.
Yeah.
We're so proud of ourselves.
It was fun.
It's 6.5 Creedmoor, if anybody was wondering about the caliber. So, I think that's all the slides we had loaded. And now, it's time to get into our... Oh, Ken's garage. Ken's hangar. Those are all of his other RCs packed up on the shelves.
It's kind of like the Where's Waldo kind of thing. There's airplanes in there if you look for them. There's parts all over the place.
Including some still in boxes in the upper.
No, those are boxes from previous kits that I just keep stuff in.
Okay. So, anyway,
there's about 5 airplanes in that picture.
So, well, that pretty much concludes the pre-planned part of the show because we didn't have a lot of time to put anything together. So, guys, what's going on? Let's talk about what you got going on.
The Raven was one of my favorite horror movies with
I don't
Vincent
think
Price.
I saw The Ravens.
Peter Lorre was a great sidekick.
It's no brass, no ammo. Not no brass, no ammo.
Is that what he's trying to say?
No brass, no ammo, drill sergeant. You have to show them your weapons clear. You don't have any live or spent cases on you because the military reloads all their brass, especially for training purposes. And by the way, a question that's asked from time to time for those who are into shooting at all, the NATO cartridge is the 5.56 millimeter. What?
Looks like a U.S. Air Force aircraft graveyard.
But the civilian answer to that is called the 223. And people always ask, aren't they the same thing? And kind of yes and kind of no. Actually, they're not. NATO 5.56 has a very specific case thickness, bullet shape and weight, and powder charge. And it's a uniform round. 223, although it uses the same dimension case, and is normally can be fired, they can be fired with the same gun because the dimensions are the same. But the 223 has a lot of variations on powder charge, projectile, and a lot of other stuff. And there are probably a couple of 223s that won't run through military firearms. I do know there are 30-06s that you cannot run through an M1 Garand because they're hunting cartridges that are too long. I know because I had a clip full. I'm like, hey, it don't fit. So there's that.
Somebody said they moved the intercoolers from the leading edge of the wings to the front of the nacelles.
Yes. Oh, you talking about the P-38?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I read that book, the Secret Horsepower Race, I didn't appreciate how problematic all of these World War II engines were, radials and inlines. And even at the end of the war, they were still having trouble with them. That's one of the reasons they were so happy to go to turbines when that technology came available. Even today, I mean, we don't appreciate that even the Packard Merlins and the more advanced engines, they were high maintenance, not the greatest reliability. There was a lot to keep them running. And anybody that's on a card in the 60s can appreciate that. In fact, somebody was I was just telling my wife recently, I think it was about the Vega, the brief history of the Chevy Vega. By the way, who made the Geo Metro? The little car?
I think it was Suzuki.
Was it Suzuki? Okay. I know a guy that used to rebuild those for kicks and giggles, and he rode me around in one, and you could get them for $300. You know, they were run out. But by God, he put a few $100 in them. They ran like a top. The bodies are still rusted out, but I was talking about the Vega, a car that should have more kits of it made, even if it was a disaster. But the Chevette, which was, you know, still a cheap little Chevy, everybody who I know had Chevettes loved them. You know, I was like, so apparently they did the Chevette right, but I guess they learned their lesson from the Vega. But
okay, anybody got something else they want to talk about besides Alice Cooper music?
Talked about Vincent Price.
Doctor vibes. God, even in his old age, he was doing commercials. He was still playing the creepy guy, which is ironic because before that, he usually played very polite characters.
Well, look at the Chiller video. I mean, his voice really made that video.
Nah.
You know?
It did. He did a thing for one of the, I don't know if it was Chiller Theater, one of them, but it was where he's got all the monsters in there. And he gives them the speech about how we only think we're monsters. We're nothing compared to man. And he talks about all the weapons of war and all the people. Why, we're amateurs compared to humans. They're far more monstrous than we are. I was like, don't you forget.
That nail on the head.
But so I got so much going on right now with the move and the trade. I got to fly tomorrow. I got to fly Monday. Monday's going to be a brutal day. Then I do 3 days of training. Then I go home. I'm not going to be able to do any building because I pretty much got the Tardis about 60% stripped, and all the models are in storage.
Mm-hmm.
And the built models are in the garage. The unbuilt models are inside the house. But my wife and I talked about it, and she's like, yeah, even though we bought this, we're getting this bigger, nicer house, I think you're going to need a bigger shed. You're going to need a bigger boat.
Bigger boats are always better.
Whooper drives the boat, Chief. But
always need a bigger shed.
Yeah. So I think that's going to happen, and I'm looking forward to it. But
you going to get a 2-story one like some of your neighbors?
No. That Duval County don't allow them.
Not anymore? Or at all?
At all. They never did. They haven't for a long time.
Oh, they grandfathered them in?
Well, old ones, but mine's not, you know. But we'll probably, we looked at a 12 by 30.
There you go.
Like, me like it.
Yeah, that's
and it'll fit underneath that tarp thing. So, you know, like, So we're going to trick out the inside of this one, but might even be able to do live streams from there some point, or some cables out there. And stuff, you know.
But set something up.
Yeah, well, but that's all down the road. Right now, the thing I'm noticing is I'm like something feels weird, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And I realized I'm not building any models. I haven't built any since this whole project started because everything's beginning moved and stuff.
No, we don't have any. We don't have any new pics of the house.
No, there's going to be a bit of a. This is going to be a little more under wraps because through the channel and my address going out so much and everything. Nothing to do with any of the glue troopers or like that, but we've gotten a little more visibility on our home than we wanted. And so we'll probably be switching over to P.O. Box. And there'll be inside photos, but yeah, I don't think we're going to... Yeah, it's interesting. This truly is the information age. And by the way, I heard some stuff that was just terrifying recently. And so we decided we're going to tighten up the security a little bit. But that's... I'm almost afraid to use my credit card these days. I want to pay cash for stuff. But anyway, but when we get the shed built, there'll be plenty of pictures of that. And
you got to do new intro.
Yeah, and also when we leave the old shed, I want to get the drone out. I'd like to do a video about the shed and kind of repeat the ending without now that it's empty. It looks weird. Go in there, it's all white walls. I'm like, man, I just want to start slapping model box tops up on the wall again.
Can't do that.
But anyway,
why don't you frame the model box tops?
Well,
that's a thought.
Because I don't want to go bankrupt buying frames. I finally made myself purge a bunch of those things because all the new ones, none of the old vintage ones. But I finally she was like, you can do it, or I can disappear them.
I don't get an option there.
But although I have used some of the boxes for moving stuff around, you really don't appreciate how much stuff you can get to a 12 by 12 shed until you got to move it. And you're like, wow.
I've been trying to warn you about this.
I know a lot of you. I'm Steve. I know you've moved and Ken's moved. Remember, I've never moved a house before. When I moved into this house, everything I had fit in my car. And you accumulate stuff over time and it becomes a thing.
Well, Steve and I were talking about this the other day. So when you moved into that house, you moved in out of your car. You had one chair sitting in the living room, which I took a picture of you sitting in.
Yeah.
It just cracked me up. I walked into the house and here's Max sitting in this
empty room.
In an empty room, no other furniture in there.
And the chair was left by the previous owner.
And he's sitting in one of those recliners, okay? And he just moved into the house. And I walk in and I said, man in this castle. I just cracked up laughing. I had to take a picture, so that picture's become iconic now. And
now, Ken and I discussed it the other day.
Yep.
And we feel that the true test of whether the move is successful is whether your wife leaves you or not after you move.
Well, since I'm on the road so much, she's kind of had to take the lead on this, and she's done a great job with it so far. But in the midst of all this, I'm going to be doing the Airbus training, and so I'm not sure. Once we get moved into the house, of course, you guys know you got to get the old one ready to sell and everything, and then you got to get the shed set up. We'll got to get one.
You come home one night and find out you didn't change the locks.
But
never had that happen.
But no. It's she's really in her element. She's a great organizer, and she's good at contracting and stuff. She's really taken the bull by the horns and done a great job with it. So the thing is, she knows she needs to take the weight off my shoulders so I can focus on what I've got to do, work and training and all this other stuff. And
shooting.
Yes. When I'm good, I can go out and play with my friends. But anyway, so I have hopes for the big plans for the future, big plans. But what I'm looking forward to is I keep wanting to put out content, but this got me so right now the only content I can really put out is on the move, and that's, I'm sure, boring everyone to tears.
We have a comment from the wife.
What? I will never let him go. Thank you. I'm not sure if she's talking to you guys or me, but
She could be talking about her boyfriend when you're on the road.
no, no. Steve just made the naughty list.
That was the wrong thing to say.
No, no. Actually, though,
Chris said you could build a very user new shed.
No, that's what we have planned. She actually, we went and looked at sheds, and they will build them to scale. So if you want to extend it, you can. You know, just X dollars feet.
Yeah.
And we're going to drop some change on this thing, no question about that. But once it's done, we're going to insulate and finish the interior, run a power out to it, and it'll be a worthy successor to the Tardis. My tentative plan is to set one end up with a green wall for green screen photography, and then the rest of it will be just set up for building models. And possibly even doing the broadcast from there, because it'll be right by the house, so we can probably run a cable out there pretty easy. I'm afraid using Wi-Fi through those walls would slow down the...
Monica clarifies. She says, talking about my Macs.
Yeah. No. Monica...
What you're better off doing is when you build it, just build it as big as the space will take.
Well, that's actually kind of what we're looking at, because, one thing everybody's pointed out, she's pointed out, I've pointed out, you've pointed out, I don't care how it's just like when they expand highways and add more lanes, people just fill them up with more cars.
Yeah.
It is amazing the value of space. In fact, here's something for you to start commenting on.
Actually, Cecil is a C6 sea serpent, not a dinosaur.
What?
Somebody's talking about Beanie and Cecil. The old comic.
Oh, okay.
Animated.
How many of you guys, in as few words as you can, describe your space and storage issues with equipment, building equipment, workspace, your stash? Because I've seen some of you guys have sent me photographs of your stashes, and some of the viewers of this channel have got thousands of models. The entire underside of the house is eaten up with them. Others have 5. But I want to hear from people, how they've dealt with the storage issues, because at one point I had models in the garage, in the shed, in the the Tardis. I mean, just it was getting to one of those things that was kind of like, no matter how big, and then you got to display them somewhere, and you start running out of display space. Okay, what am I going to do with these models? And well, I'll tell you what, I'll hang them up in the garage, and next thing you know, your garage looks like Britain, 1940, summer of 1940.
Oh. Tom Slick's car, the Thunderbolt Grease Slapper. Thought that was a great car.
The Thunderbolt Grease Slapper? Okay.
That's what it was called.
Somebody should make a kit of that one.
That's what somebody was saying. That'd be a cool kit to make.
But there are there's just no, and it doesn't have to just be with models. It can be with any hobby, I suppose. I'm just glad it's not RCs, because with 54-inch wingspans, you run out of space real fast. I was actually putting the RCs, hanging them on the wall like that, because it's the only place to put them. And some of the models that have been sent to me, I'm looking at, I'm already thinking about, I have no idea where this is going to go, but I have a feeling it's going to be mounted on a wall. There's just, space becomes the final frontier.
Well, maybe you might take a slightly different approach to the new house, to model building. Maybe you should think more quality rather than quantity.
Well, the ones that go in the house, first off, any model that's displayed in the house has to pass muster. Mm-hmm. I show it to Monica, and she's like, okay.
Oh, I feel honored, because the Beaumark.
The Beaumark was allowed to stay.
It stayed in the house.
But you put a lot of work into that. I mean, you
did.
But if I come, if I show one that, she's an artist. She has an eye. She knows when something ain't right. Even if she doesn't know what it is, that's not right. You're not putting that in. But as a result, the models that are on display in the house are the nice builds. And unfortunately, as we all know, models don't necessarily age that well. Decals rust, and if you keep them out of the sun, you know, out of direct sunlight, sometimes they last a lot longer. But I don't care how much you coat them. You know, clear coat's yellow, and after a while, it's just time to rotate them out for a nicer new build. Whoa! I don't want to hear one fat joke.
Use the biggest rooms for the models. Use the smallest rooms for living in.
Yeah, that's gonna work. But anyway, you put me in this cheap chair. You did this just to embarrass me.
This is not a. I've had this chair for 20 some odd
It's
years.
a 20-year-old chair.
And
It's undergoing its end of life stress test with me.
It is now, yeah. Things are falling off the chair.
You've heard of non-destructive testing? Well, that ain't this.
The center screw post is stripping out, I think.
Not one fat joke.
Who said anything about a fat joke?
I did before you did. Yeah, really, display and storage of models, especially after they're built, is a pretty common issue to most people, because if you've been building your whole life or whatever, you don't want to throw away the old stuff because it's your memories and it's valuable sometimes. I mean, you know, some of these kits have gotten pretty rare. So you wind up, well, that was a pretty mediocre build. It was a repop, you know, I'll toss that one or give it to a kid or something. And, you know, I've got a bunch of nieces and nephews, but they've largely outgrown that stuff. It used to be, oh, here, you want the whole thing? You know,
That's why you give it to your watchers, your viewers.
they make better models than I do, Ken.
But it's a piece of Max. Max made these.
You really stop and think about how that sounded before you just right out there. No filter.
No filter.
I don't know.
Everything.
I thought about putting a bunch of models in the box and go, shaky, shaky, shake. Who wants some parts?
Now your wife just came up with an excellent idea. It would be interesting to see a viewer's build video dedicated to everyone's working area.
Well, some of the viewers have sent pictures. If everybody sends me photos of their work area, then I could put together a viewer's build of just the work areas. I'd be happy to do that. And a lot of guys have sent stuff, but it's spread out through all the different viewers' builds, so I'd never be able to track it all down. Only so many hours in a day. But I would be happy to do that if folks want to send enough of them. And maybe once I get the new Tardis up and running, that can be the inaugural video.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But right now, the tentative plan is once I've got that one desk that's already in my new office area. They're going to put in the desk that my computer's on, and that'll probably initially where I start doing the live streams from. And working on the other desk, which will be in the background, which makes a great backdrop. But once the shed's in place, I have a pretty good idea that everything's going to migrate out there for both storage and work. And of course, I'll air condition it. But and there is a little shed out there already that the previous owner put out, which I think I showed you guys some pictures of. But it's a very small shed, but it does have a workstation. And we were thinking we could put a small air conditioner in the bottom, and I could use that for painting, just as a dedicated paint shed. But that might be overkill. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a little overkill.
Because with the big shed, we'll have plenty of room to put the pro spray booth and everything.
That's where you could store your less than perfectly made models.
The shed's not that big. But I know everybody has problems with storing models, and now some folks have more problem with their stash because they've accumulated models over their entire life. They've got so much stuff they know they'll never build it all, and it, you know, of course everybody builds at a different speed, but the models that they build actually aren't the problem.
Rhonda agrees with me. Go with quality.
Yeah. Well, you know, I try to.
This isn't a contest, you know.
No, not at all.
It's not who builds the most models before they die, you know.
So he goes tagging his first diorama soon. Dioramas are a really nice way to display your models. It's also a nice way to help you move them because you pick the base up. You don't pick the model up. Mm-hmm. And but
they take a lot. They take up a lot more room.
Well, not sort of. if you build a diorama of an aircraft that only goes the wingspan and the length of the airplane, all you've done is taken this rather weird shape and squared it. Yeah, you can't put other, like, turn the planes around and overlap the wings or anything. But when you display them like that, it doesn't look real good anyway because everything's in the way of everything. The whole idea about displaying a model is you want to be able to see the thing. And a lot of times, and it certainly happened to me, you have so many models on a shelf you can't spread them out, and you can't really see them all.
Yeah.
And I may take a bunch of the little models that I've built and put them in a box and see if anybody wants them at some point, because it'll just depend on what my storage situation is. But cars and tanks seem to be less problematic than ships and planes, especially sailing ships.
Well, that's because they got little pieces. Sticking
Yeah, they have tiny little delicate parts that stick all over the place. A sailing vessel consumes massive amounts of space, in 3 dimensions, and so does a big model airplane. I've seen a lot of people that have actually mounted large-scale model airplanes to the wall, which isn't a bad way to display them, but it's just something about it. It's like
a fly on the wall.
Yeah, it's like something there just ain't right,
Just doesn't look
good. But figures eat up probably the least amount of space. And I go to these model shows. We've gone to a couple of model paloozas and Jack's Con, and you see the fantastic work some of these people have done. And I'm not worthy. As I told them the last time I was at Model Palooza, I say, I don't make good models. I make videos about good models.
Oh, I just had a thought. Maybe that little shed you got out there, that could be for the cat.
For what?
The cat. For Honey.
You really don't understand the dynamic at our house, do you? Let me explain how this works.
Honey doesn't get her own shed?
I'm lucky Honey lets me stay in the house.
Well, if she gets her own, you can stay in the house.
Not how that works, Ken.
Honey's their cat.
They know. She's more popular than I am.
My mom didn't know.
Oh, okay. Yes, Honey is our cat. And Honey is the princess of the house. What Honey want, Honey get. And, oh boy, she's going to freak when we put her in the new house. Nothing smells like me. She'll have to run around a whole new house to scent. But we have, one of the things, though, is that, what?
Monica told me to stop.
Yes, Ken.
Okay, all right. I'll stop.
The
High Commander said so.
So anyway, one thing that always amazed me, for a while I had the models. Monica had a corner, one of those 3-sided display curios that goes in a corner, and I had put some models in there. Actually, when I did, I think my early race Golden Era racing videos, that was behind me, and the cat. Honey could get in there, and I don't know how she did it, but she moved around the models and never damaged anything. That was impressive, because they were packed in there pretty tight. She'd get in there, sniff them, and just slink around between them. Out she went. I was like, huh.
Cats don't usually care about that.
Yeah, I know. It's like she knew.
Wait a minute now. All we've heard about is your new Tardis, that what you're going to do with it. Well, what's Monica going to get for her workspace, for her dolls and stuff?
She got the major bedroom.
House?
No, she's got one of the main one of the bedrooms, the big ones, for her work studio. Then I've got the middle bedroom for my work studio, and then the other one, of course, will be a guest room. And then I'll get the Tardis too, because that room that I'm in probably over time is going to prove not to be sufficient. But also it'll let me get an area, because one thing being inside the house, having a workstation inside the house is nice, but when you start talking about using spray guns and everything, this is a very nice house. I don't want to go, putting paint all over the floor and the ceiling and everything. Once I get my new Tardis, the mess is mine to be made. Box art all over the walls, just like the glory days.
That's right. Monica,
so Ken, when you go to visit, you'll be sleeping in your van in the driveway.
Bound by the river.
Yeah.
No, it's we're very excited because there's just it's hard to believe that we outgrew our house. I mean, but it's just basically what happened. and we both have our projects. We love doing them. I'm going to be retiring, in a few years, and we plan to have all this set up where we can just, enjoy our leisure, and enjoy model building and doll making and all that stuff, and just
after he retires, you think he's got enough models now? Holy cow!
Well, I got enough to keep me given the expected life.
Made, where are you going to put even more of them?
Well, that's what we were just talking about. Now, that's another thing. The 12 by 30 shed's going to have a lot more room for shelving and storage and cases and stuff like that. So I'm sure I'll display a lot of the models inside the new shed. And which is what I did. For every model I had in the house, I probably had 2 out in the shed. Ones that just I didn't have room for. I just felt, it doesn't go with the motif. Because everything in the house has a motif. One of our display cases was dedicated to spacecraft. One of them was dedicated to sci-fi and kaiju. One was dedicated to military aviation. One was dedicated to land. Well, the bottom end of one was dedicated to land vehicles and boats and ships, that sort of thing. So there was a theme to everything.
So let me ask you a question. How much closer now do you live to Hurricane Hobbies in the new house?
I'm about 300 yards farther away.
We actually
moved on the other side of Hurricane Hobbies. We crossed the street. We're only 3 miles from the house, and Hurricane Hobbies is almost dead center between our old place and the new place. It's funny you should say that, Steve. That's like the first question Ian asked when I told him I was moving. He was like, "Where? How far away?" It's like, "Oh, just right over there." "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh yeah, for you it's a customer-based thing. Didn't even think about that."
According to the rules of Tardis, the inside of your Tardis should never change. It's only the outside, right? Or is it the other way around?
With the Tardis from Doctor Who, Time and Relative Dimension and Space, the outside never changed because it was broken. It was stuck as a police call box. Yeah. But when you got inside, it was much larger.
Okay, so we're doing that.
Yes, and but
interesting.
I haven't decided at the end if it'll go up in an explosive force, blast off into space, or be eaten by Godzilla. But we'll come up with a colorful end.
Maybe we should let them vote on it.
They can vote. I decide.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Y'all put in the comments, how do you think the Tardis should meet its end?
On film. No one's actually going to do anything to it.
And we're not going to set the spray gun on fire.
But actually I found a video. Someone sent me 2 videos of someone doing that, and it kind of halfway worked. They were get it to a little flame. But I was thinking, let's see, air compressor, spray gun, flammable liquid, and a match. What could go wrong?
At Max's house, nothing.
And nothing will go wrong because I'm not gonna do it.
I didn't want you to do it.
Now I'll run the camera from a safe distance behind plexiglass if you want to try.
No.
Be like an episode of Hollywood Weapons.
Nothing good's gonna come out of that.
Ooh, no. But besides, flamethrower is the easiest thing in the world to make. So.
Dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Yes, that's true.
Nice logo. Godzilla burning it and then stomping on it.
That was my first go-to.
There's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
You two think alike.
But it's weird, when I built that, when we first bought that place and had it built, because I was working. You remember when I built that model car for Kira? I was working in the garage, the summer, no AC or anything.
Yeah.
And the whole Tardis, whole shed idea, that was Monica's idea from the get-go. She's like, you need a place to work in with that, and it worked out really well. And I never really gave a second thought until I started the channel, and then everything exploded. And I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, this never saw that coming. And it took off, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm like, I can't turn around in here.
Somebody suggested that you do it like the Vikings did.
Torch. Well, maybe like the Simpsons. Here are 3 endings. Pick your own.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Pick an ending.
Somebody said you should cut it up and sell the pieces.
For souvenirs.
The only problem with the bigger shed is that it requires a permit. So I mean, which isn't a big deal, but
just take the Tardis with you and double stack.
And I'll tell you right now,
stairs in your 2-story building.
Well, in Jackson, Duval County, you can have them with like the arch top that's like storage space up high, but they don't allow the actual 2-story kind.
Oh, here's an interesting idea. The Tardis gets packed away for the move. It gets accidentally shipped to Area 51 and gets stowed way back in a huge government warehouse.
No, Ken. It goes back to Area 51. Where do you think I found it?
Oh, they let you in there, huh?
That had nothing to do with it.
Or as Edward says, we could have Max crash an RC plane load into the Tardis.
Almost did that with the drone.
Just do it with explosives.
No,
I'm planning on trick photography. I'm not really blowing the shed up, people. Or torching it.
Or cutting it up.
Or cutting it up.
Or even mailing it back to Area 51.
Hey, Jeff's got an idea. Maybe Hurricane Hobbies could use it as an annex to drop it in the parking lot.
You know, it's not really a TARDIS. It can't just whoosh, 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 and reappear.
You put some wheels on it.
You know, we had talked about moving it, but it was built in the backyard.
Yeah.
There's no physical way short of a helicopter to get it out. The house, it's a 12-foot wide shed. We don't have 12 feet. We'd have to literally pull down the neighbor's fence.
That's a cool idea.
What?
The helicopter.
No, Ken.
Why
We're
not?
Well, let's see. The cost of building the new one would cost about the cost of renting a helicopter.
Well, then you wouldn't have to redecorate. Right?
It's like talking to a child.
It's fun tweaking them every once in a while.
No. Besides, the shed will probably be a value-added feature for the next, for whoever buys the house. Hey, look, we got an air-conditioned shed in back with electricity.
Unless you clean that air conditioner out first.
Hey, it still blows cold.
Who
I
knows?
did. I went with the vacuum.
Who knows what's growing inside that thing?
Yeah, I tell you what. Sometimes I'm worried about it.
It's amazing it still works.
It is. We may pull it out and stick it in that little shed that has the workstation. We've talked about that, and because the new shed's going to need a bigger air conditioner, because you have to buy an air conditioner by the square footage of the area.
Much bigger. Yep.
And so
maybe better insulated.
Well, the shed, actually, the Tardis is insulated
Right.
behind, but yeah, the new one will be insulated also, and we'll probably have professionals put in sheetrock or wood paneling or something to give it, hold everything in place.
Okay.
Give it that wood grain look. Like when I grew up with wood paneling. I mean, I guess most of us did if you grew up in the 60s or 70s. Everybody lived in a place that had wood paneling. It was just what you did. And but the nice thing is and it's there.
Yeah. Chris says just leave it there.
Leave what there?
I'm assuming he's talking about the Tardis.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's a good idea. Clean out Hurricane Hobbies of their supply of Estes rocket engines and a really big parachute.
Yeah, that'll work out great.
Doesn't matter if it works out.
That story usually ends with, and then, Your Honor.
It hit the house and the whole thing blew up.
Well, all we found was a tennis shoe.
There you go. Get a flatbed record truck. They can drag it out on the bed like a car.
Again, no access to the backyard.
You take the fence out.
Ken, it's physically not wide enough.
Oh, it's
We
not.
got like 6 feet on one side and 8 feet or 10 feet on the other. That thing's 12 feet wide. And the one that has trees in the way. There's no way that's coming out of the backyard short of leveling the house, knocking down a fence, or renting a helicopter. I had thought about...
I still like the helicopter idea.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I had thought about asking somebody, what about disassembling? I mean, it was nailed together. And the guy was like, yeah, you do not want to do that. It will not go back together. It's just it's an old shed that needs to be and it's anchor. It's got its hurricane anchor bolts and everything. Just leave it in place. Let the next owner put their lawnmower in it or whatever.
Scrap it in place. Ship it to Davis Mothman.
Yeah. What as they said? What is the abandon in place? That's what they.
Oh! Here's a really good idea. Or tie a bunch of balloons to it and float it over the yard.
Thank you, Nina. 99 Luft balloons, huh?
Like an Up. That movie Up. Did you ever see that?
Yes. No, actually, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that?
By the way, you know the one of my videos got pulled down for using that song 99 Luft balloons, and I used a karaoke cover.
Oh, really?
And it got blocked.
Well,
not taken down, it got blocked. So I mean, totally blocked. So
Did Nina complain?
I don't know. Yeah, he's not paying me the Reichmarks. But anyway, so I told it to mute the song and replace it with canned music, and that was a long time ago. But I was like, really? It was a karaoke version, though. It wasn't even the real one. Oh well, that's one of the reasons in the future, especially if I ever monetize a channel, all that's going to go away. It'll just be what Lou makes for me, my son, what he makes for me music wise, because it's just the whole rights thing. YouTube has become a monster on that.
Darkwood says, buy some sinkhole starter.
We live in Florida. That pretty much qualifies. But the whole...
Garfield just said if they can lift King Kong with balloons, they can lift a Tardis.
Yeah, that's my go-to for science experiments is kaiju movies. I even when I was a kid and I saw King Kong versus Godzilla and the whole thing with the balloons, I was like, yeah, I'm not buying that. I didn't realize though that movie that was made more or less as a comedy, sort of. You know, it was. I watched a documentary on the making of it, and it explained some of the lack of continuity in certain things. And I'm like, I don't know what it is about that movie. It's just adorable. You know, the bad special effects and everything are half the fun. But my God, they did make one of the most psychotic looking Godzillas of all time. King Kong was a stoner. I saw it a few years ago. I might have been watching it with my wife, and when he's drinking the berry juice, I was like, because I'd seen it as a kid, hadn't seen this as a kid. Like, oh my God, Kong's a stoner. He's a beach bum. He's literally getting hammered on the beach and passing out.
Well, they gave it to him, didn't they?
You know, that's why he was there, man. Abe
showing up for the juice.
Abe knows how to party, man.
And the girl.
And well, he won. God, I watch that movie now. I'm like, oh Jesus, these actors really needed a paycheck. I remember seeing that movie at the theater as a kid, and I thought the little hover boat thing that came out of the sub, the little hovercraft that came out of the sub they went to the island on, was just awesome. You know, I was like, oh, like a submarine with hover. And I watch it now. I'm like, my God, I'm not even kidding. I could do better now in the shed with the green screen. But you know what? That was the technology of the day.
Technology has come a little ways, yeah.
But the movie was made for kids. You know,
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm confusing two movies. That was King Kong Escapes that I saw at the theater.
Okay, all right.
And,
Hey, good news for all. The Green Slime is now on DVD.
All right, green slime, the green slime. That movie, you cannot not love that movie. I mean, they're taking themselves so seriously, and they were just working it. And for the longest time, I thought it was an Italian production. Turns out the Italians were involved, but it was a Japanese production. But I was like, okay, I guess that, you know, I thought it was Italian because all the European type cast members and everything. But that movie begs to be remade today.
Okay, we got a few more interesting little suggestions on what to do with the Tardis. Somebody says that they got 42 gallon drum of 30%, I guess, H2O2. What's that?
That's heavy water.
No, that's not heavy water.
H2O2 is heavy water. It's what you make nukes with.
No, it's not. It's
H2O2.
hydrogen peroxide, isn't it?
H2O2 is heavy water.
And 10 gallons of acetane. PM me for further plans for the Tardis and possible escape routes.
He's making a nuke.
I like the other one. Put a target on the roof.
That was my second one. You just took my thunder, man.
Oh, sorry. Gotta read faster, Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
I'm doing this for effect. You gotta put dramatic pauses between the different ones. Besides, I give Max a chance to comment. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So anyway, pretty sure H2O2 is heavy water.
Nope, it's not. Heavy water is made with deuterium.
Okay.
Deuterium is hydrogen with a neutron in the nucleus. It's still
H2O2 compound name. Yeah, you're right. It's hydrogen peroxide.
You're questioning me again?
Yes, of course I am.
You shouldn't do that. You should know better.
Wait, that's H20. That's H. Okay, is that H2O2 or H22?
H2O2.
20.
That's hydrogen
Thank
peroxide.
God you two
Okay.
guys weren't at Los Alamos in the 40s.
Yeah, we'd have
Look,
lost
see,
the
right
war.
there. Dreamberry said hydrogen peroxide. See,
Okay.
I told you.
All right, fine.
D2O? Oh, deuterium. Oh, that makes sense. Rather than hydrogen. Yeah.
Well, what was the stuff they sank in that fjord in Norway to keep the Germans from working on their atom bomb project? That was heavy
Heavy
water. I know
water.
that. Okay, for some reason I thought H2O2 was heavy water. Okay. Well, that's what I get for getting my science from,
You
The
need to
banana
listen
splits.
to me more often. I'm righter than you are when it comes to
You
science.
need more Discovery Channel hours.
You mean you're more writer. Okay.
We'll go with more
C
writer.
stop and S stop. Yeah, let's go boom.
Not good stuff. No.
Was it magnesium permanganate and hypergolics? Yes, I'll eat the skin. Or I'll burn. I will flame your skin on contact.
About as much chance of moving the Tardis as NASA getting the new moonshot off the ground.
We were just talking about that earlier. How Elon is making NASA not look so NASA-y.
Yeah, they're not doing so well. NASA's just taking way too long. I mean, they're still talking, even with the existing rocket already designed, not doing the next mission until 2025 or something like that. I forget the exact dates. You guys probably have access to that.
Well,
but the point is, they're taking forever to develop something, years, decades to design and develop and create something that Elon has done in a matter of a few years.
well, I imagine, I'm only guessing, I don't have any inside knowledge, but I'm guessing a lot of that has to do with you're dealing with a lot of different contractors, government agencies, come and go financing, people come, people leave. Whereas cost plus pricing. Whereas everything's got to be approved. Whereas Elon is like, do this, do it now, let's go. He can call the shots. Very little, if any, bureaucracy.
Right.
And that definitely speeds things up. And also, I imagine NASA had to deal with shifting requirements also.
Everything I know about heavy water, I learned on Hogan's Heroes. There's a little bit more to it than that.
So
some people have been curious about what it is I'm staring at over here.
it's he's got the comment screen over here on a different computer.
Yeah. I'll show him real quick. I'm gonna move the camera.
And everybody gets seasick.
Hang in there. We're going underneath. Coming over here. And in case y'all wondering, there's the monitor, there's my desk with all my tools, my keyboard, and there's the monitor we're looking at. So, in case you're curious.
Now I'm dizzy.
I'm seasick.
Everybody close your eyes for a few seconds. It's going to be jitter cam. Ugh.
Close enough.
Close enough. This is the new microphone we bought just for doing this live stream.
Yeah.
And there you can
Works
see
out
over there,
pretty
you can see the lag time.
Mm-hmm.
They're just seeing it right now.
That looks kind of weird, doesn't it?
That's one way to put it. So, what else you guys got cooking? Our cat just puked. Yeah, they do that too. I feel like brap.
Heroes of Telemark.
Heroes of Telemark. Yeah, that was one of the movies they made about it.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Good movie.
Kirk Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
NASA never a straight answer.
Suspiciously clean, your work here.
Behind the scene moment. Yep. Ricky Wolf. There is a light beer and heavy beer.
But which one do they make atom bombs with?
Actually, they didn't make nuclear weapons with the heavy water. The heavy water was used as a shielding.
Okay.
Instead of lead, they used heavy water.
All right. Well, okay. I do know that atomic bombs on aircraft, generally speaking, are not armed until when they take off and land, or at least originally they weren't. They had to put the pit in there after takeoff for obvious reasons. Of course, as nukes got smaller and encased units, that was no longer the case. But just the idea that, hey, I'm going to go arm the bomb now. I'm going to take this radioactive material that can make this thing go, and I'm going to, put it in now and arm it, and there's just,
yeah, kind of like that Jamaican guy on Fifth Element, loading the fuel rod into the.
Oh yeah, just nuclear lure.
Pops the thing out, it's talking to his buddy, pulls it out, it's glowing bright.
Hey man,
pulls it out of the spacecraft, it's almost like
depleted.
green.
Yeah,
sticks it in there, pulls it up. Yeah, man, talking to his buddy all the time.
Yeah, the green stuff was the shielding. It was the green slime in a can. By the way, when I was here yesterday, we were getting this stuff working. We saw, I don't know, it was Disney Plus or whatever. They had these little 4 or 5 minute movies about Groot, baby Groot.
Yeah.
Those were funny. The one of them reminded me of the green slime, where you hear something break, you see the broken up vial and the weird creature slithering around. I was like, for a funny cartoon, this is actually a little creepy. Just
a little bit.
Now that was a terrifying scene in Aliens when Jerkwater locked up Ripley and Newt inside the medical bay with the skitter running around because you couldn't see it. Hudson winds up coming in and getting it with a shotgun. Or was it Hudson or was it anyway? Point being that those are terrifying movies.
Sledgehammer, season 1, final episode. I know what I'm doing. Kaboom.
Oh yeah, that was the one about the cop with the big Model 29 that he 44 Magnum.
The biggest problem with NASA is it's run by Skeletor.
Oh man, there's it's funny the audio is everything, because you watch like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, also where they have Skeletor like as his wingman or whatever he's doing the bride, like, oh my god, this is not the Space Ghost I grew up with.
No, very different. Although it followed a pattern. Whenever they got into trouble, the monkey would take off. And then when they're all shackled and tied to chairs or whatever, the monkey would show up and let them all go.
Hey, he was their bandit from Johnny Quest.
Yeah, it happened every week. There's always the animal that come in and save the day.
Yeah. Well, that's like one of the greatest, I guess you could use the word arguments in against Indiana Jones was in Big Bang Theory, when they finally got all their wives and girlfriends to watch Indiana Jones. And at the end of the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, the girls go, so wait a minute. The thing took care of the Nazis. It's going nowhere. So Jones never even had to be there. He didn't do anything. And the guys, you see their whole world crumble before them.
And that's what you got from that?
You know, I wondered did anybody ever build that Indiana Jones model of him with the trucks and everything? Because I've never even seen that model. I've only seen pictures of it. I don't remember ever seeing it in a store anywhere. I don't even think I knew it existed till a few years ago. And I'm thinking, Indiana Jones, all the stuff he did in those movies, there's just all kinds of models that could be made based on that franchise. And to my knowledge, that's the only one.
Ooh.
What?
Travis Thompson said a bunch of gear from Aliens is up for auction, up for auction, including the dropship model and a bunch of full armor sets. Oh, that could be fun.
Teenager Sex says Max will enjoy the Airbus 320. Has a very roomy cockpit. Yeah, I've jumped them, seated them a lot. Jumping over to the whole upcoming Airbus thing. Everybody, I must be the only one who never reads the seniority list when all these changes come about. I figure, well, that's what I'm going to do. And I don't care what other people are doing. Everybody, I saw you were bidding FO on the Airbus. Why are you? I'm like, really? And it's a quality of life thing. Yeah, I'm going to make less money, but anyway.
Not really, actually, from what we
discovered.
about.
I may actually be back. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Airbus out of Orlando because it is a much more comfortable airplane. Everyone who's flown it that I know is just once you learn it, it's a cush gig, and being that is actually the phrase they use. Dude, that is a cush gig, and I keep hearing that. Apparently, being a first officer on an Airbus is like you're the backup autopilot and the guy who runs the numbers. It's like the easiest job in the airline industry, and because of my seniority, I'll be able to get the kind of trips we were talking about, and it looks like I may not even take a pay cut, given that it's a more productive airplane. So I'm really looking forward to learning it. I have to do this recurrent training next week on the plane I'm currently on because it's an annual thing you have to do, and I don't start until January, so I guess they couldn't push it back. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. You pay me, I'll drive. But,
so when you get on the bus, your new Delta Chi name will be
Cramden. My new
Like
Delta
Ralph
Cramden, the
Cramden.
bus driver, Ralph Cramden. Call sign Cramden. Well, one of the things I was really excited though was I was reading the schedules, and my current flying is East Coast. Past 3 days and tomorrow, all I do are West Palm, White Plains, and back. And the last day, LaGuardia, Nashville, LaGuardia, and then come home. And then I go right into training the next day. So I don't even get to go home. I'm looking at the stuff, and they go, well, you got to be senior to hold those trips. Like, yeah, that I will be as a first officer. And I'm like, oh man, Salt Lake City and Los Angeles and Aruba. Yeah, I'm like, yep. I am starting to like the productivity's higher. I'm like, yep, I am starting to like this airplane already.
Nothing to do with the airplane itself. It just gets where he gets to go.
Well, this job, everybody's got the things they bid. Some guys, it's about the money. They're strictly there. They want to upgrade as fast as they can, fly everything that comes their way, get the most productive trips. Some guys, it's about booking soft time, trips that have a lot of deadheads or whatever built into them. With some guys, it's about where the overnights are. With some guys, it's about what days they can get off. Everybody has their own life and their own set of priorities and goals. And seniority makes all of that a lot more doable. With me, I'm looking for basically an easy, productive schedule and the ability to get off the days that I need. If I go captain, none of that's going to happen. I'll be down on the bottom 40%. I'll be taking what's left over. But
Yep.
As number 7 in base, as an FO, when it's snowing in Boston, I'll be going, I think I'll do the Aruba. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take the Aruba trip. I like that one.
And when it's blazing hot down south, yeah, I'll go up to Seattle. So
Steve, you're being uncharacteristically quiet.
I'm reading the comments.
somebody has to.
I've been reading them. What, do you see anything interesting?
No,
Mostly they're talking about other stuff.
pretty much.
What's an HP 75?
Uh,
Is
so
that an airplane?
I'm thinking the old airliner. No, that was an HP 45. I'm sorry, 42 and 45. What are we looking at? Which one are you on?
This one right here. Garfield made some 3D printed HP 75.
Hanley Page 75.
No more squeezing through narrow aisle cockpit seats.
Oh, that's another thing about the Airbus. You can stand up in the cockpit. I mean, right now, the airplane I'm in, I cannot stand up in the cockpit. If I want to so much as stretch my legs, I got to have them set up and take a break.
Oh, the HP 75 is a flying wing.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I know the one he's talking about. It had the little turned up winglet things. I knew it was Hanley Page. For some reason Hewlett Packard kept sticking in my head. HP 75, wasn't that a calculator?
It was, actually.
See, it's all about what discipline you're in.
Hadley Page Model 75 flying wing.
And
What happens if I hit the refresh button over here? Does it?
shouldn't nothing.
Nothing bad?
There's an HP 75
Okay.
monitor. Yep. Okay, I know exactly what he's talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got 105 people
That's
watching.
the HP 75. It was an attempt at a flying wing.
It's got rudders. Looks more
Yeah,
like a long
it's
easy.
Well, that would be a short easy. There's well, no, that's not. Is that the same plane? I didn't know it was a twin. Okay, there's a 3D diagram of it. Oh, you got to give them credit. They were willing to experiment. They were heady days. In a book I have on the world's worst aircraft, they were talking about the Sea Dart, and the comment read the section of Sea Dart started with, "They were heady days when somebody got the bright idea to put an F-102 on water skis."
Oh, you mean like the Sea Dart?
That's the one he was talking about.
Okay.
And I was like, the airplane actually had some potential. It was the mission that died. The guys who flew it said, once you got in here, it flew great. They had to modify the system
because
that was knocking the crap out of them.
Well, it was attached right underneath the pilot's seat, so every time they hit a wave, it would knock him up.
Yeah, and it would be transmitted right. Yeah, it would be really. It would transmit the impact load into the cockpit, and but the plane itself, it's not the one that came apart during the thing. That was they figured out.
Show.
Yeah, they figured out what had happened, but
it was harmonics, wasn't it?
Something like that. But so the other one, they fixed it, but it wasn't that the airplane had anything particularly wrong with it. It was the concept that died. They just decided they weren't going to go with because to me, I think the P6M Seamaster, that 4-engine jet they did have some crashes and they lost a crew, but a model of anything. But once they got the bugs worked out of it, I think that airplane really had some potential. But the Navy just decided they didn't need it. And I think that's one of the great planes that should have been.
Well, they had aircraft carriers.
But the Seamaster, with the thing is the fact that you're talking about a big jet that could land on water, but had genuine long range and high speed.
Mm-hmm.
So that creates opportunities that you don't need to send an aircraft carrier. A destroyer could service the thing. A submarine could service it. True. You guys may remember.
Supersonic.
Yeah. And the second attack on Pearl Harbor, which took place, I think, in May of 1942, was when a couple of Emily flying boats dropped some bombs on Pearl. They didn't hit anything. blew out the windows in an empty school, and the rest of them went in the ocean. But the Japanese still considered it a big success, just that they'd gotten 2 planes to bomb Pearl Harbor. And there were a pair of flying boats that had gone to French frigate shoals and met up with some submarines to refuel. And
well, if you read the book about the Seamaster, it was part of the system.
Right.
And there were supposed to be support boats and submarines and
right.
refuelers, and it could fly anywhere in the world and then land and be resupplied and then just take off again.
Exactly. And what I was thinking was the Japanese proved in World War II with the second attack on Pearl Harbor that you can pull this off. And I was using the Seamaster along with, some submarines to support it. You could park that thing off of any place, 70% of the globe's covered with water. There are a lot of places you could just park that thing, 100 miles offshore, serve as a sub, service it.
Well, that was the whole concept behind the Clipper, the Pan Am Clipper, and why it was a seaplane.
A seaplane. Well, also, when it was built, there weren't a lot of runways, at least not of size.
Right.
So,
and all major cities were next to a river or some water where they could land it anyway.
If they had to. But the reason these flying boats in the interwar years was the absence of airports and long-range fixed-wing aircraft. World War II solved all that, and the flying boats were gone very shortly after World War II. But they still had a niche. Yeah, they were still, the idea of a jet seaplane that could refuel from a ship or a sub. I mean, without having, the thing is, you don't have to park an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Now, that might have been part of its demise. There might have been a lot of aircraft carrier admirals that were like, make that go away. No, bad airplane.
Well,
You're not replacing my precious carrier.
Well, Ron said, I could never see how they could recover the Sea Dart.
It landed beside a ship and was lifted on a crane. Just the way they used to recover the old Kingfishers and the little observation planes that would catapult off battleships. They just taxi up beside the ship as it was moving. They'd reach them, hoist it up with a crane.
That would be fun, hooking that thing up.
Well, the thing is, a Sea Dart, you could literally put, especially if you put a Zell launcher on it, you could put a Sea Dart, you could put 1 or 2 jets on something as small as a destroyer.
Yeah, you could.
And there has been talk of the concept of amphibious jets that could land on the water, and you could put 1 or 2 on each of your combat ships, so you don't have one carrier that's a target. You got 6 destroyers, you got 12 jets.
Right.
And the thing is that modern missilery has made a lot of it unnecessary. The capacity of modern missiles is the ranges and everything have made a lot of that just unnecessary. Tomahawk cruise missiles and the like have made all that kind of redundant. Or at least that seems to be the philosophy. Of course, the Tomahawk deliver a warhead, it can't go out and dogfight an incoming aircraft.
Right. Once you release it, it's gone.
But the Marine F-35 with the lift fan can, so one could make the argument they could always put the Marine F-35s on ships if they needed that capacity. Still, I think it was cool. They should have just done it because it was cool. We should make things because they're cool. I mean,
Elon Musk does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his stuff works.
Yeah, it does. But, by the way, has anybody seen a kit model Tesla, the car? I don't think I've ever seen a kit of one.
They won't give licensing out. That's the problem.
I had a feeling that would be it. I'm kind of surprised. It seems like it'd be free promotion.
He will only give a license to somebody to make things that they make to distribute through their own companies, but not for sale as retail.
Oh, well, there you go. There you have it. Almost like the old promo model cars.
Is there a reason why they're doing that? Do you know?
He just doesn't want the stuff to be... The only thing that's been made that is licensed is that there's a Hot Wheel car and there's a Hot Wheel radio-controlled Cybertruck. That's it.
I'm sure he's got his reasons. Probably just so to maintain control over the intellectual properties.
Yeah, they're supposed to start producing the Cybertruck soon.
What's the big deal on this? I mean, it looks weird. I don't know what's supposed to make it so great.
Yeah, the inside's really nice. It's sort of like a Swiss Army knife of off-road vehicles, but it's that weird cutting-edge design. and the fact that it's got the, exposed metal skin.
Okay. So did DeLorean. Look how that ended up.
Well, that was the engine.
If they would have made Back to the Future 9 months earlier, he'd probably still be in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you put some speaker horns on the back of it like they did in the movie.
Yeah, DeLorean had real street cred with muscle cars, though. He's kind of one of the fathers of the muscle car in Detroit.
Yeah, he was the one who came up with the GTO.
Yeah. Let's take a Tempest and jam a big engine in it.
Yeah. He was the one who did that. And, he did a lot of stuff when he was the general manager of Pontiac and Chevrolet. And he didn't fit the mold of GM because he was very flamboyant, and he was kind of like a rock star. And these were guys who wore, black suits and white shirts and red ties. And he dated supermodels and, was out in California.
He was ahead of his time.
He was. The problem was, inside the car was meant to be sold at, about $12,000 to $14,000. By the time they got it all tooled up and going, it was a $25,000 car that was underpowered, and there was a recession so it stopped.
Well.
I also heard that things would just stop running all by themselves randomly too.
Oh, they had horrible quality control because he got the money to build the plant in Northern Ireland.
Right, because they wanted it really bad.
Had to teach a lot of these guys because they were sort of unskilled laborers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the build quality was kind of suspect.
Well, I think the Bricklin had the exact same problem up in Canada.
Yeah, they got money from the Canadian government and they built it in. Where the hell did they build it? Up by in New Brunswick, they built it, and that thing had horrible quality control, but it wasn't as bad a car as it wound up. The biggest problem with that car was the body.
Yeah.
They really didn't have the tech down on the plastic body. And the gull-wing doors, which were hydraulically operated, they would constantly, the lines would break, the motors would break, you'd be stuck in the car. Well, let me tell you something. You want to see something that would make your eyes pop out? Go on YouTube and type in DeLorean crash tests.
Uh-huh.
And they have pictures of the crash testing that the government required them to do. These things fold up like a card table in a hurricane.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, I watched these things and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, the whole car just collapses. And I'm like, how did they ever pass the crash test?
Huh.
Good
That's
question.
comforting. Not. Said no one ever.
It was a really, it was a really beautiful, eye-catching car.
Yeah.
And everybody loves gull-wing doors, but it just didn't live up to the hype.
One of the could have beens.
Now, if it had come with a flux capacitor, I think they might have sold more models.
Say that again?
If it had come with a flux capacitor, they'd have sold more of them.
Of course.
Uh,
You could have got Biff to detail it.
It would never go out of warranty. Right?
That's true. You could just keep going back in time.
Exactly.
Just bring it back to the day you bought it and say, hey, this doesn't work.
Give me another.
Now, that would be a Jaguar.
Oh, God. My limited experience with Jaguars has not been a positive thing.
Nor Range Rovers.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about them being real buggy also.
No crashes in time travel. That's true. If you're about to crash, you just change the time.
88 gigawatt.
No, 88 miles an hour, 3.21 gigawatts. Actually, it's supposed to be gigawatts, but the guy couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah.
He mispronounced gigawatts.
Great Scott!
Actually, DeLorean wrote the director of the movie Thanks a lot for putting the car in the movie. Too bad you were a little late doing it.
It would be funny if they had come out a year earlier and had saved the company. That'd have been something. We might be seeing those things all over the place.
Had some kind of impact.
The DeLorean station wagon.
And the Mr.
Well,
Fusion.
they had big plans. I mean, they had plans to turbocharge it, and they had plans to have ones with painted bodies if you wanted them. You know, hey, American Express had gold-plated ones that were in the Christmas gift guide the year the car came out.
I remember somebody who had one gold-plated.
Yeah, they're very sought after. They didn't make that many of them. They just auctioned a couple of them in the last couple of months. They got pretty big money.
I'd imagine they're gold plated.
It's 1.21 gigawatts. Sorry, got it wrong. I was close.
Well, you're only 2 gigawatts off.
What's a few gigawatts? 1.2, 1.4, whatever it takes.
Well, we got about 10 minutes left. If anybody's got any questions or anything they want to talk about, now'll be the time. Unfortunately, tonight we're not going to be able to do the normal leave the thing going for a while because Ken's got to run me back to the hotel. Unless you want to just leave this up while we're gone.
For 2 hours?
Yeah, I think that may be overkill. But I covered all the things I was going to tap on. And
Anybody got anything they want to talk about? How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good.
Really?
Hey, we talked about the DeLoreans. I'm okay.
You got your car fixed?
How about, let's talk about the Aston Martin DB5 in No Time to Die.
Okay.
Do you know that they were carbon fiber replicas powered by a BMW engine?
I think you may have told me that. Yeah. Apparently the British will put a warrant on your life if you actually deliberately wreck a real DB5.
So, what did they have? What did Aston Martin have to say about putting a BMW engine in one?
Yeah, they really didn't make a big deal out of it. You know.
Because they were just fiberglass, they weren't real ones, so you know.
I mean, I think they built like 9 of them.
9?
Yeah.
They
Because
tear
each
those
one
things up.
did different things, you know. I mean, one was just a hero driving car, one did this, one did that, you know.
One's the one you blow up.
Yep.
I kind of like that Mercedes that was in that one James Bond movie that you could drive remotely from the back seat.
Ah,
I thought you would have been more of the flying AMC that Christopher Lee drove as.
absolutely.
That would have been disconcerting to open the trunk up and.
You would barely get me to drive an AMC Matador on the road. Never mind fly one. But mine still favors is the Lotus submarine.
Or the Esprit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that thing still around?
Yeah, it's out of Desertland.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the car show?
Yep.
I was
In
just
the
over there.
bond section.
I was just over there, but I didn't go into the car show.
Mm.
I went there to play pinball.
Ah.
And what'd you think of the pinball group section?
Well, there was a couple of places that had pinball. There was this one arcade. About a third of the machines didn't work.
Because it must have knew you were coming.
So I decided not to try that out. So we went to get something to eat, but there were some pinball machines over there near the cars, the little go-karts.
Yep.
And so went and got a card, put some money on it, and I had to keep swiping. I was, what is wrong with this thing? So I'm swiping it and swiping it and swiping it. Finally, it gives me 2 games. I was like, oh, okay. And then later on, I look at my receipt, and it was $1 a swipe. It cost me $4 a game to play on this Star Trek machine. I was like, good Lord.
What do you expect from a place that's owned by a Jewish guy from New York?
Holy cow.
You never had it so good.
I mean, it's obviously that this place is designed for tourists who are out of town who decide they can spend whatever they want because they're on vacation, and definitely not for the locals because that is insane. $4 a game. It was a lot of fun to play. I like that machine. But I found a Star Wars one that was a whole lot less. It was
What's your favorite pinball game of all time?
my favorite one.
Yeah.
There's some really good ones. Oh, I know. What the heck is it? They only made 3,000 of them. And they're really popular. Tales of the Arabian Nights. That's what it is. That is a fantastic machine. It's got what they call good geometry, and it's a lot of fun to play. Unfortunately, the price on those things is going absolutely through the ceiling. I saw one for list on eBay for $20,000.
Jesus.
I thought, that's
They
insane.
used to have a pinball game museum in Las Vegas.
Cool.
And they had about 1,500 different pinball machines.
Wow.
Silver Balls has a few hundred, but that's an arcade that you just pay to get in. You play the games for free. That's down in Delray Beach.
Yeah, they got some really historically significant machines there that you can play. And they got, every day, they got 3 techs come through and fix all the machines that broke that day. Make sure that they're all working. But yeah, that place is a lot of fun. What's really cool is when you go to a pinball convention where people bring in their home machines, and the stores that sell pinball machines, they bring in machines, and there's 100, 150, 250 machines in there. Some of them bring in the old video games like Galactica and Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and all those other fun games that are playing. And for $20 you can play all day long. It's just like nerd heaven.
It's amazing how many video game systems there were.
Say again?
It's amazing how many video game systems there were.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Well, writing software made it easier to produce a lot of them too, though, because you didn't have to make much hardware.
Actually, not King Kong. Kong. Kong was a successful version of a game that came before it that bombed, but they reused the case and reprogrammed it and turned it into Kong, and it became very popular.
And Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, guys, I'm going to leave this up for just a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and max out the screen here. Ken and I have got to start getting ready to.
Oh yeah, Adam's Family. They sold 25,000 of those machines. That's a good game too.
Yeah, but we're gonna start. We'll run it here for about 5 minutes so you guys can chat with each other. But unfortunately, Ken's got to drive me all the way back to Palm Beach. So I appreciate everybody coming out and spending some time with us. I'm glad. I hope you had a little bit of fun. This is our first remote one like this done here. So we'll see how it goes in the future. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Have a good night, and as always, muddle on.
Well,